And it was a pleasure for me to introduce the next webinar in the PLGB's online series. Today we will talk about the carbon reduction and carbon storing in interface. Our expert is Janneke Leenaars. So Janneke are working in interface about this area, and I think it was the time to take your presentation. Janneke, please show your slide and we could start.
All right, well, thanks so much. Hello, everyone. So happy that you're joining us today, and also, of course, if you're listening in later via the recording. So yeah, super. Looking forward to share you our journey, our sustainability journey. I'm a sustainability manager at Interface. Well, I'm excited to tell more what we have been working on and what's our vision. So if all is well, you can see my presentation.
Yes.
If not, let me know. And as mentioned, if you have questions, put them in the chat. Can also be in Polish. I'm sorry, my Polish is rusty, so it will be in English. But of course, if you're feeling better to ask your question in Polish, then please do. I will get the translation then. So our journey. We are all in to meet the climate crisis as a flooring manufacturer. Doing our contribution and creating a positive ripple effect, showing what is possible, and of course in that context then inspiring others to do the same. So originally we are a manufacturer of carpet tiles. That's maybe how you know us. But as of 2017, 2018, we are as well in the what we call the resilient flooring, the LVT, and as well rubber, which you can find rubber in transport, universities, hospitals. Carpet tiles, of course, you will find more in offices. But you see the full spectrum where you can find us with our flooring. A little bit more context. Interface by the numbers. Last year we celebrated our 50 years anniversary. A little bit idea of the amount of colleagues I have. We have 6 manufacturing sites across the globe. For carpet tiles, we have our factory in the Netherlands, in Scherpenzeel. I'm based myself as well in the Netherlands. And for rubber, this is a global supply. We have our factory in Germany, in Weinheim. Bottom right, a little bit of an idea of our global revenue. And I think combined with what I am going to tell you about our journey and our results and how we are working on and looking at ourselves to contribute to solving the climate crisis, we are, it's nice to share that we are as well a listed company. We are listed at the Nasdaq. And as mentioned in my introduction, sorry, this one flips very fast, this slide, but I don't know why. We are all in, full focus on contributing to solving the climate crisis. And we are already on a sustainability journey as of 1994. Our founder put us on this journey, and we are still feeling very responsible on this legacy and push forward on our journey. So as of 1994, we have been working to eliminate our negative impact, and we are now having this goal of becoming what we call a carbon negative enterprise in 2040. So with all of our activities, store more carbon than that we are responsible of emitting, considering everything that we do, upstream and downstream, so supply, resources, and in the scope of the customers. So this is a really, really big challenge that we have taken up again for 2040, and we have a halfway goal, a science-based targets for 2030. They are guiding us and helping us to continue on our journey to eliminate and work on direct carbon reductions, and of course also carbon storing, which I tell you more about it. Because of the most recent stepping stones, we are very confident, and of course it's a challenge, that we will be able to reach our science-based targets, and that we will push forward to also become that carbon negative enterprise by 2040. And the full focus is on direct carbon reductions, not offsetting. We are very we have confidence that based on our innovations, we don't need any compensations. So we have full focus on carbon reductions, and again on the carbon storing, which is very important as well. Before I tell you a little bit more about this in the context of what type of innovations we have been doing, and also I hope this gives you, depending on what type of role you have in your organization, if you're an architect or in real estate or maybe as well in the manufacturer, I hope you can translate this, the lessons and the approaches we have to your own business. So, but before I do this, I think it's always nice to show you our results, because I hope this gives you trust that we have been taking this already for years and years seriously, and that it's more than it's not a story. We have been working on this already, and we are building on our results as we have them already now. So what you see here is based on our verified numbers 2023, because of course after each year you can have them independent verified. We are now at the end of 2024, so I guess April next year I will have new numbers on our reductions, so I need to work now with the 2023 numbers. But on Carpetal you see we have the largest drop of our carbon footprint, and these are global sales weighted average. So the carbon footprint of carpet tiles globally has dropped, reduced with 82% compared to our base year 1996. Rubber and the other LVT, we are in as of 2017-2018 with the base year of 2019. Of course, a fewer reduction, but you see reductions, so we are making progress there. So that's as well great. I hope showing results, and especially, considering the carpet tiles, gives you a trust on everything that I'm sharing further to you, because we are building on historic results and experience how to move forward. So if you then look at, and a lot of industries are still, what I show you for the 90s, what was applicable to us, but in the 90s it was take, make, waste, and petroleum intensive products. That was the industry. And following our journey, we have been pushing to eliminate virgin petrochemical materials and to increase recycled material and get to parallel to get low carbon footprint products. And now moving towards this 2040 goal, we have been increasing the recycled materials and working with plant-based materials, because the vision is, flooring products as a carbon sink. So products that have a low carbon footprint, or even products that store carbon. So that is, if you go vertical, an overview, the vision for positive, how we are working. And in our journey, knowing the life cycle of our product, and here you see the life cycle of a carpet tile, and knowing where the weight of the carbon impact is. And of course, here I will show you percentages. It doesn't say anything of the height of the carbon footprint. Of course, we have these numbers and dig into even more, but it gives you information where you need to be. So if you're starting on your journey, it's very relevant to know, look over the life cycle of your product, or maybe if it's a building or whatsoever, and dig into the numbers and know where you can make progress and where you need to be. So if you look at the life cycle of your carpet tile, the weight of the carbon impact is in raw materials. So that is what we have been working on in the past, years since we started our journey. I think if you look at this this overview, again, it needs to add up to 100%. It doesn't say anything of the height, but it does show you where you need to be. You know, it is interesting that, you know, if a manufacturer is working to reduce their impact, they need to be in the scope where they have influence. And the raw materials that they are sourcing, there is the weight. I can imagine that if you're looking at this slide, you're also like, hey, end of life is mostly what we have on our radar because it's very tangible. It has an impact, of course. And I would tell you what we have on this. We have a take-back program. But if you're looking into, for example, procuring the most sustainable products, low carbon footprint products, low impact products, you need to look at, you know, what were the efforts of a manufacturer. You know, where is the impact, the carbon impact of the scope of the manufacturer? So more on that, because I will tell you you could call our plan, our recipe that we have been following to reduce our carbon impact and the scope, raw materials through manufacturing. And the plan and the approach we have been using for years and years now, we continue with this, is actually quite simple. And again, I hope this gives you inspiration how you can translate this to your own business. And again, it's simple, but of course you need to then, you know, transfer it to innovation or what's your business about. But it is all about avoiding carbon emissions, reducing if you can't avoid them, store, use plant-based materials, and of course, because we are showing that it's possible. I showed you our results of decrease of carbon footprint. We are a listed company, so it is possible if you put your minds and your efforts and your innovation to it. So if we have a quick look into these different steps, you know, avoiding is on, and that's what we have been doing in the past, and we are continuing doing this, it's of continuum material efficiency. So as a manufacturer, you work with materials, but if you ensure you have the similar performance, but you're not wasting in what you're using for your product, so wasting in your manufacturing process, but you're also very efficient with your material use, you of course avoid carbon emissions because you don't need those materials, those resources. So I think a nice example of this is, I'm doing like this because, you know, if you try to visualize a carpet towel, you know, you have the fluffy part, the yarns at the top. And that what we have been working on material efficiency is tufting very efficient in the way to tuft, but also, of course, in the distribution of yarn. And in doing so, you're doing this in a way that you have the same performance, but you are not wasting. Another example of wasting in the production process, and if you have been, or maybe you will be sometimes in our factory in the Netherlands, you see that we have a very efficient cutting machine. It's an ultrasound machine, and it has only very tiny parts of scrap at the sides compared to traditional or old ways of cutting in the factory. So there are ways that we will continue to find and solutions to work on this topic, avoid carbon emissions. The second step is all about reducing your emissions. And a way for us to do so is increasing recycled materials. But of course, and that is also for avoiding, so avoid and reduce. This is all about eliminating virgin petrochemical materials. So eliminating virgin fossil fuel derived materials. We all know we need to cut the cord to the oil well. And that is very the core of the innovation journey, a sustainability innovation journey of Interface. Looking for ways to cut the cord to the oil well. And we do this via either eliminating and then bringing in, instead of the virgin fossil materials, bringing in recycled materials, or as what is also possible, eliminating the virgin fossil, either by recycled or with plant-based, bio-based or plant-based materials. And plant-based materials connects to also our vision to store carbon. Again, and the vision is to have flooring products in the end as a carbon sink, because there is too much carbon in the atmosphere. Carbon itself is not bad. I mean, we ourselves consist of carbon, but there's too much in the atmosphere. That results in a global warming. That's not helping us as humanity or and planet, for a thriving planet. So part of the vision is storing carbon. And of course, so that's why avoid, reduce, and store carbon with the use of plant-based materials, because plants in their natural process of photosynthesis store carbon, take it out of the atmosphere and store it in their structures. So if we use that plant-based materials, we have them locked in our products. So that is the vision. And an important part, we think in our journey of stepping stones, an important stepping stone on the journey was as well, the full switch to a new backing. We did this in 2021, and we switched to this, what we call, the name is Sequest Bio. It's a biocomposite. And we eliminated our bitumen backing. Our factory is running now fully on this biocomposite backing. And the great thing is, on top of everything that we had done already, so avoiding, eliminating virgin fossil by recycled materials, with this new backing, we have on total, if you measure all across what we make in Scherpenzeel for carpet tiles, a total product, an average of 88% recycled and bio-based materials. So if you're thinking circularity and in the impact, where the impact is in resources, we are very close to turn off the tap to the oil well for carpet tiles. We even have products with 93% recycled and bio-based materials. And the switch to this new backing, eliminating bitumen backing to having this biocomposite backing, was an important step. So I realized that when I was talking that on the reducing part, and maybe I'll flip one moment through to the previous slides. Yes. So when I was talking about reducing and so eliminating virgin petrochemical materials, a big thing in our journey was, for example, again, looking into where is your impact. And in the journey at the beginning, the impact was in our yarn. So what we did is collaborating with the suppliers to have them increase their recycled material. And by this, eliminate virgin petrochemical material. And you maybe, if you're into the flooring and into the interior design and into flooring, you all know that there is now already 100% content recycled yarn, 100% recycled yarn with 100% recycled content. Econil, if you maybe know the name. And this is all because Interface has accelerated this journey and co-collaborated with this yarn supplier to innovate and increase their recycled content. So I thought it would be good to mention this as well, because sometimes I hear like, I'm just only this company, or I'm only this, professional XYZ. But this example of that a supplier in the end worked from in the 90s having 0 recycled content, total virgin fossil, towards a product with 100% recycled content, I think shows really nicely that if, as we have been doing, if you are in co-creation and in dialogue with your stakeholders with your supplier, in the end it will be able to create a positive ripple effect that will reach beyond your own organization, because as this yarn is now used by other manufacturers, it's even used in the clothing industry. So it's a nice example of your ripple effect can be very positive and can go beyond your own scope, but to the rest of stakeholders. So never doubt if you're pushing forward and be very ambitious in the steps that you're making. So now moving forward, I was talking about this biocomposite backing, and I think what is nice, so I showed you we have now on average the 88% of the total product recycled and bio-based content. It also resulted in a drop of 1/3 of the carbon footprint on average. And here you really see a regular product, nothing special, but you see like how we have paver. It is a beautiful product, but you know, it's not our eco-hero per se. If we are innovating, we are not working on in an eco-hero concept. We want to, in the end, have innovations throughout our portfolio. So this is paver, just a normal product, and you see how we have been working to reduce the carbon footprint. And what is really nice is that we, even with a special version of this biocomposite backing, are able to create create products that are negative. So means negative impact go below neutral, zero, purely based on material technical innovations. And that is with, of course, again, working to avoid and reduce, but then with a special version of this biocomposite backing with a high concentration of carbon negative materials. So, all the power of plants, very condensed, to store carbon and create this product that did not add carbon to the atmosphere in the scope of raw materials through manufacturing. And that is pure based on material technical innovation. The scope is raw materials to manufacturing. And of course, we are working to expand this journey even further. So here it's just nice to see, with the biocomposite backing, our carbon footprint is already really low. I took here connected Ethos 100 and 200. I really like those products. They're really beautiful. We have a lot of beautiful products, but I'm a sustainability manager. I just highlight this one. It's a really beautiful product. And, it's already a low carbon footprint based on all the things that we have been doing. Carbon footprint from cradle resources through manufacturing. But if you do take the special version backing, what we call the Sequest BioX, you go even with your carbon footprint below zero. And what is nice, again, we work in stepping stones. So first we only had a couple carbon negative products, cradle to gate, available. And then already a while ago, we launched the stepping stone of, hey, now it's possible for us to even bring products to the market. I think in total now 34 to 36, 38, something like that. That can be as well carbon negative from cradle to gate. So thinking of colors or design, you could say everything is possible. A low carbon footprint, it's possible. And a negative footprint. So yeah, if you go for it, it's possible. And I hope, talking of putting your mind to it, I hope I very briefly, I'm really aware of that, but that showing you what we are about, our goal, a little bit on our numbers, that we are listed at the NASDAQ, but with this very simple plan and working throughout the years very consistently and very with persistence and dedication, towards direct carbon reduction, carbon storing, towards our climate, our science-based targets, and our goal to become 2040. I hope with the results, we hope, of course, to inspire others to join the approach, and of course that this accelerates own journeys, of course, together with suppliers and with customers. Well, I thought also nice to share with you some other innovations that we have been doing. which are all rooted in what I just showed you in these type of steps. So if you look at installation, unfortunately, and it always very hurts me because I have this strange and weird thing that if I'm somewhere and I see carpet tiles, I start pulling. Like, can I still take them out? Because if you can replace a carpet tile, you still benefit of the modularity of the carpet tile. I mean, it's carpet tiles. So the great thing is you can replace them if there is a very difficult stain not to be solved anymore. You can replace a carpet tile, and you don't need to replace the full space, but only that one specific carpet tile. You can pick them up and put them somewhere else in another room. You can reuse them. So, but of course, it's important then that they are still modular. And I'm always it's hurting that, well, quite often still it's glued, that's not helpful. So if you're installing carpet tiles, tell your flooring contractor, please have them, modular installed. And we have been innovating this, what we call, it's a sticker. You see them on the picture. And it works with gravity. So they are connected to each other. And working gravity, they are still very stable and durable installed, but you have the benefit of the modularity. And this is actually what I'm now sharing you, a benefit that we as well had. We started to innovate these textiles because we wanted to get rid of the unhealthy VOCs, the volatile organic compound of the traditional glue. And this sticker eliminates that as well. So benefits on more from more perspectives. I think if you look at sustainability, it's also, of course, important to look at, aside of carbon footprint, of course, as well, look at quality and longevity. So this is as well for us very important. So our carpet tiles have 15 years of warranty. And if we talk about longevity, I think, our Nora products, which you can find in hospitals, in transport, I mean, they have, a service life of between 40 and 60 years. And, this is also part of, if you're looking from a building perspective, and this, of course, is a different context that these products, Nora products, are installed in, with specific specs. But if you need that, then, if you install something that is there on the floor for 40 to 60 years, it serves and suits your what you need. It's very low maintenance. This is also, of course, working on carbon reductions from the installation, your building perspective. And it's nice to show you some case studies, both in Germany, actually. Left, you see clean room, each year tested very strictly on if it's still performing and adhering to the requirements. It's already on the floor for over 32 years. So, I mean, that's amazing. There on the right, we have a university. I think it's the University of Bochum. The clean room was in Ulm. At the right is the university in Bochum, again, Germany, and it's already on the floor over 50 years. So it's really nice, we can share its reference of the service life is long, but there is also a lot of case studies, and I show you here 2 of them around on the floor. So on Nora, we are working there with the same principles. We have the factory as of 2018, eliminating waste, researching and looking into how to incorporate more recycled and plant-based materials. So lots of innovation work going on there. So why is all this effort of reducing carbon footprint so important? Maybe you know, and maybe you didn't know, but had a already intuitive feeling, but the built environment has a really high carbon footprint. So here you see information of the World Green Building Council. In total, global impact of the built environment, 39%. This is a combination of emissions, what we call operational emissions, related to energy used for heating, cooling, and powering your building, and the impact of the materials used for your building, to build and decorate a building. And speaking of that, I really like this research. It's of an NGO based in the UK. It's called the Architecture 2030. You see it at the bottom half right. They have an interesting website as well. And they did a research of like the impact of the built environment actually between 2020 and 2050, because there will be so much new build in the upcoming years till 2050. And of course, we all know we need to reduce our activities and carbon impact. So what to do? And what they found out is that the impact of emissions related to operational energy, so heat power and cool your building, is almost equal to embodied carbon, the carbon impact related to the products and materials that you're using to build and decorate your building. So that means that, you know, working on your energy efficiency or working on LED lights or whatsoever, that's important, continue on that. But if you want to contribute to and be part of the solution considering the built environment, you also need to look at, if you're an architect, if you're a developer, real estate, etc., contractor, you need to look at what materials and products are you using to create your building. And that's why, you know, it's important to look into low carbon footprint products, and, you know, they are around, as I just showed you, also following our own journey. So designing with climate in mind, it's a really big opportunity for actually the whole stakeholder set in the built environment. If you're an AED or real estate or whatsoever, we all play a role. We as a manufacturer work to reduce the carbon footprint and have them around. And of course, well, if you're an architect or a real estate, you can as well play your part in looking for, do I need to build or do I need to renovate? If yes, you know, with what materials and products am I going to work, and what is actually the carbon impact? We have been working throughout our journey to have this low carbon footprint products, and even go beyond zero to have carbon negative products from resources to manufacturing. And these products, of course, help you to lower the carbon impact of the total interior. If you are yourself a company that needs to report, considering, for example, the European CSRD, or your customer needs to report considering the CSRD, it is as well interesting to look at carbon impact, because you need to report on as well your what we call scope 3. Scope 3 has a lot of buckets, but it is indirect impact related to, for example, your supply chain. So what you procure as well, it's part of that bucket of scope 3. So if what you procure has a low carbon footprint, then of course you're able to report lower carbon emissions in your CSRD report on GHG or carbon impact numbers. So this could be, you know, if it's relevant for yourself or it's relevant to your customer, you know, this is also, there are a lot of businesses working on this or starting to work on this. So this is also an interesting perspective why low carbon footprint products are important. Aside of that, they are important in general, because, I mean, we need to work combined efforts on meeting and solving the climate crisis. But, you know, maybe some people are more interested from a perspective to listen to you from reporting angle. If you want to report, and, you know, we have been pushing transparency, so being able to showcase the carbon footprint of products and how to report on this, and also helping the market to how to read them. I will do a very, very swiftly run through, but if you have more questions on it, please reach out later. But I will go very quickly how you can read an EPD, an environmental product declaration. So, of course, we don't want generic data. They are not accurate. What we want is, specific data that is connected to that specific product. And an environmental product declaration is based on EN and ISO standards. So very trustworthy, they create, at least for the part that there are ruling, and I will tell you more about it, but most tricks is for resources to manufacturing. It creates the possibility to really compare. You have group EPDs, so it contains more products. In our case, for carpet tiles, you need to go a bit to the back and then look at the yarn weight, and then you see the carbon footprint of the total product. That's the green EPD, and the more product-specific EPD are the blue ones. So what are things that to look into considering an EPD? So this is what you here see, and maybe you can look back, or again, if you have questions, we can do a follow-up. But there are different stages. From resources to manufacturing, I told you already, it's called A1, A3. This is what has happened, and it's factual. After the gates, in an EPD, there are assumptions. It's our scenarios, so that is A till C, end of life. And then there's this bucket beyond the system boundary, and that is called the D. That is only just showing you what is perhaps a benefit of reuse, or maybe even incineration for the next product life. It's outside of the scope of this specific product. So if you want to compare, you need to be at the compare of the focus impact now, and what we call the product stage. What was the impact of the manufacturer from resources, raw materials, to manufacturing? That is what you can compare. Where do you need to look? You need to be in that document, and then you need to go what is called GWP, global warming potential. It shows it like this in the old previous still valid version of EPDs, or the new norm, which gives you more detail, but you still need to look at GWP total. Good to know it's really important, because otherwise you can be tricked that you think, hey, this is a great carbon footprint, but because it is, you need to know how to read it, because they can't put very long numbers in there. They work with this mathematical way of describing it is with the E plus or with the E minus. And the only thing you need to remember, if there is a E plus, so you see here, for example, 1.08 E plus 1, it means that you need to put the comma one step to the right. If there is, I will show you what you are actually reading here. If there is a E minus, you need to comma here, in this case, 2 steps to the left. So read with me. Here, there's nothing. So that means still the carbon footprint is 8.22. And this is just 2 examples, not related per se to our product. Here you see 1.08, apologies, plus E plus 1. Remember, the comma goes 1 step to the right. If you hadn't noticed, you thought, hey, 1.08, that's a good carbon footprint. But because you need to put the comma 1 step to the right, then it shows you a carbon footprint of 10.8. Well, considering carpet tiles, that is a bad carbon footprint. Here you see minus 4.25 and then E minus 0.2. Minus, here at E minus, you need to do the comma 2 steps to the left. So it gets to this. Here, 1.76, E minus 0.1, you need to put the comma 1 step to the left. So I'm trying to make this a little bit more fun, but of course, you know, you need to know about this rule, and then you will never be tricked. But it's an important one to know. I'm a little bit conscious of the time, so do I still have a couple of minutes, or is it maybe a better idea to go to Q&A? Magdalena?
Janneke, now we don't have a question on chat.
Okay, I will finish my story. It's
Okay.
only a couple of minutes, and then maybe
Yeah.
there will be some questions popping up. And is that okay?
Yeah, clear. I think, yeah.
All right. So this is not per se the fun part of, you know, but being able to compare products and also to read their carbon footprint is always good to know how. If you weren't aware yet, you know, I hope this gives you a little bit trust already on, you know, that you know how to read it. So, you know, E plus means comma to the right, E minus means comma to the left. And this is a mathematical way of writing. So for you to remember. Another thing I want to highlight in this whole transparency thing is that, as mentioned, what is impact now is from resources to manufacturing. In the EPD, it's called A1 to A3. And what we see some cases around in the market is a so-called circular carbon footprint. And what they are doing here is impact now combining with some future potential of incineration and recycling. So it's combining A1, A3 plus this D module. Remember, this D module is beyond the system, but what is going on here, it's not allowed to product category rules. It's double counting because this D module credits. If there is any benefit and a manufacturer is going to incorporate recycled materials, you will see it again back in A1, A3. So this whole thing of a circular carbon footprint is as if I would say to my doctor, well, doctor, I know I now weigh 80 kilograms on the scale, but in 10 years, I'm going on a diet. Really, in 10 years, I'm going on a diet. Count on it. And then I will probably lose 20 kilograms. So doctor, no worries about my weight. My circular weight is 60 kilograms. So that is what this promise or this message in the market is working on. It's just not correct. Many reasons. Does not apply to the rules, product category rules, the ISO standard. It's double counting, and it's a future promise. So if you want to compare, please be aware, you need to focus what did the manufacturer do at this moment. A1, A3, from resources to manufacturing. That is impact now, that has happened. That is what you can very fairly can compare. So that is good to know. If you want to dig in yourself on EPDs, well, considering us, you can find them at the website. There are also, you see here on the slide, some other websites where you can find EPDs in general. Maybe this suits you. This bottom one, buildingtransparency.org, the EC3 calculation tool is very helpful. Does have more than only flooring, also other parts of the building, and can show you also a little bit of an impression of what is the highest of EPD found, but also what is lowest, what is feasible. So it gives you nice ranges. So it's nice to play with it. It is a compared to some other platforms, you only need to register, but it is for free. So it's also a nice one to play around if you're interested to compare data. And again, if you have questions, I know this was very swiftly, reach out and maybe we can do a follow-up or whatsoever. So to close, I think, you know, I've told you about our works in our the part of the life cycle of products that have the highest impact, from resources to manufacturing, but especially resources, with avoiding, reducing, working with plant-based materials to store. I told you about this, but of course, you know, we know and are aware that also in your scope, in the scope of the customer. Let's say if you really want to refurbish, the end of life is also, although over the full life cycle it was only 4% of impact, we know this is important for our customers. So that's why we already have for a really long time our take back program. What is nice to share here is that if a product is still good, we really want it to be reused. So we have across Europe, we have reuse partners. So that's one. Reuse first if a product is still good, and we create high quality products. So if it's maintained well, reuse is possible. So that's what we work on, and is possible. And part of our program, we have now again with our new backing recycling machine in Scherpenzeel up and running. So that's also possible to take it back to the Netherlands for recycling. So good to share as well. And then I come to a close. It was very swiftly, I know, but I really hope that, I gave you a couple of examples how we have been working to combat climate crisis, to do our part, and of course being aware that if each of one of us, if you're making steps, it has results in your own scope, but creates as well positive ripple effect. Our plan, how we have been working and will continue to work, is very simple. Maybe you can, work with that as well. Avoid, reduce, and store carbon. And I'm very happy and thankful that I could share about our journey and how we have been working on direct carbon reduction and carbon storing. And I hope that the tools how to read an EPD help you as well. And if there are any questions, I'm happy to take them now. And please write them just in Polish if you want in the chat. Magdalena will get me the translation. So please do so. And otherwise, happy to be here with you. And yeah. So Magdalena, over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Janneke. We have 3 questions in English, so it's easy. The first one is from Agnieszka. How did you come to tiles made of biogas materials becoming carbon sinks? What norms you use to calculate the impact? The first one.
Calculating the impact?
Yeah.
So our carbon negative products are cradle to gate, are independent verified via the EPD norms. It is, I would almost say, quote unquote, the standard LCA EPD norms. I think it's EN 15804 plus A2. That gets to a total that is carbon negative. So that's the standard that we have been using because that is relevant for our industry. EN 15804. I hope that's. Thank you.
The second one is from Agata. How to account for carbon related to delivery to a particular customer site?
Let me see if I can, how to account for carbon related to delivery to a particular customer site. Yeah, so in an EPD, let's start. So in this product category rules for your LCA, for, in our context, flooring, the strictest rules are for what has happened, resource to manufacturing. After the gates, you can work with assumptions, scenarios. These scenarios, of course, are not per se that they have happened because it differs if there is a transport from Scherpenzeel to, let's say, Brussels, or from Scherpenzeel to Poland. So what we do in this part of the transport is to work with averages. And well, I think each manufacturer does this based on calculations, but it is the EPD there is not per se on the delivery part or actually everything after gate. It is a scenario. So if you really want to work with real carbon impact data, then you should look into what are the mileages, etc. But I think, not to make the impact of transport fewer than needed, because I mean, our logistics team, they are very proud of working to reduce impact there with, we have now the Lean and Green Star 2 and, working on all types of measurements, not driving empty with trucks, etc. So they are very proud on their work, but I think, the highest impact is in the resources. So it is also good to remember where you need to really look if you want to make a difference. Transport is part, but it doesn't have the highest impact if you look at over the whole life cycle. But in the EPD is scenario based. Yeah.
The next question is from Martin. We have 2 questions to finish, I think, from now. How did you influence suppliers to lower CO2 emission related to interface?
Yeah, thanks for the question. This is, the collaboration with suppliers is key. And for example, what I told you about the yarn, when we started the journey, when we were digging into the impact was in the raw materials. Then we digged further. The impact was in the yarn, in the beginning of our journey in the 90s. And, that example of yarn where it was in the beginning 0% recycled material to having now a supplier with 100% recycled material, it shows that if you have your journey and your mission and your ambition and you go in dialogue and co-creation, that helps. And maybe to add some context, when we started those discussions with the yarn suppliers, there was the biggest yarn supplier. He didn't believe in this whole recycled, reducing carbon impact thing. There were 2 smaller ones. They did think like, hey, this is important. We are going to innovate on them. And, the interesting thing is that the largest one that didn't want to collaborate on this is now a small one in the industry. And those 2 that were innovating, and the one that now has 100% recycled material, they are now the largest one in the industry. So it is as well, it is interesting, if you co-create and things can change in the market to the benefit for planet, and in this context also the company that acted on this. So that is so it is co-creation, collaboration. It is what we now do is really, look. We have been reducing, of course, already a lot, but then still digging into where is impact, assessing hotspots, and having that conversation with our suppliers, like, hey, we are on this journey, join us. What can you do? What can you do to eliminate virgin fossil? What can you do to increase recycled material? What can you do to avoid? Can you bring in renewable energy? It is this continuous discussion with suppliers, combined with ensuring that they have, of course, also independent verified EPDs, so data, because we need independent data to put in our independent verified data. So also work on data accuracy. So having proper data. That's all part of this journey together with suppliers. But they, the results and let's say the stepping stones that we are celebrating we are celebrating this, of course, together with our suppliers. And of course, as well with our customers, because you need, of course, customers that believe in your journey and are appreciating your efforts, because it's not always easy. It's a challenge. You need to be persistent. Still, in this society or economic reality, it's you need to be persistent if you want to show that it's possible to be financially healthy, plus pushing forward on heavy radical carbon reductions and carbon storing. So yeah, it's a joint celebration, all the results. Thanks for the question.
And we have the last question from Marek. How you calculate that some of your products have minus CO2 emission?
So again, it's based on LCA EPD standards. And I'm not an LCA specialist, but I do know quite a bit of it. But of course, you have the real boys and girls that are totally into the Gabi and the data, all the data sets. But if you really roughly look at it, you look at what are the Carpetal has different layers. What are the layers in the product where you have been heavily reducing, either via avoiding or recycled materials, but there is still a bit of a positive impact. So, for example, the yarn has a positive impact still, although it is in cases of 100% recycled material. So you have parts that have positive impact. You add that to the calculations, and then we have our Sequest BioX, that is our biocomposite backing with a high concentration of carbon negative materials. And in this calculation, this is combined. And I think the fundament here is that in the end there are, if you look over the manufacturing process, from a creation process, from resources to manufacturing, there are less carbon molecules in the atmosphere. So in the end, the EPD norms end up to having a carbon negative cradle to gate product. Thanks for the question, Marek, as well. I hope it helped a bit, my explanation.
This is the all of the question of this session. So thank you very much, Janneke, for your presentation and your great energy. I put your email address on chat, so maybe our participants could contact to you from this way. And of course, in the next year, we will collaborating the next webinars with Interface. So from now, I introduce this series, and thank you very much once again for attention and great value of products of your way to decarbonization.
Yeah, thank you everyone for